from the chat, writing in the chat box, and someone from the team will let me know. Okay, so let's begin. So we are today here to discuss on understanding users, which is I would say the most basic pillar of product management. Even if you are working at any scale, if it is smaller, big, if your enterprise is B2B, B2C, or even B2G, understanding your users and understanding who are your target customers for whom you are building your product is prima facie most important thing as a product manager. So let's begin with my introduction first. So to I have around 2 years of experience as product manager at Skuad, which is a Singapore-based startup. It's a B2B HR tech space, and we work on different products here. We work on tech products basically, which helps company to hire, manage, and pay the global talents, basically all over the world. So we provide technical architecture to different companies in order to fulfill their HR needs and hire talents globally. Okay, so I also, I'm a part of, you know, various product communities now, and I have been mentoring few couple product enthusiasts alongside, and which has gained me an as in a good amount of experience in the product domain, because you always have learning mindset, and I always learn from other people, and I seek to learn something from you guys also during our chat here. So apart from this, I have worked at different, companies like Big Basket, Table Jobs, in IT Express. I have, different expertise in marketing, customer retention, and business operations. When I was in Big Basket, I worked there for, customer retention models and customer success management team. And business operation, I took care of business operations and data analytics at Able Jobs, which gave me vast experience to understand users well, and gave me a knack towards product management, in sense of solving problems and understanding pain points of the users. So I basically, you can say, I would love to explore users' problem rather than just going on, getting ahead and solving them, which is I believe in today's market is a prima facie requirement for any product manager. My experience, I have talked about my experience. I have, worked in different companies, so around 3 years of experience now, and this is a bit about myself. Let's talk on what is the agenda for today's session. So I'd be dividing this session into three parts basically, and I would not be, emphasizing more on anything which does not create sense in today's market. So I have been recently got into product management, so I know what you guys are now, up to, and what you should do in order to get into product management field, and in order to crack your next product job. So I'll just focus on things which will help you as a, in the interviews as well, and once you get into product field, then you'll be a better product manager, I believe, after this session. So we'll focus on whys first. So we'll focus on quite a couple of questions around it, like what are the whys of product management, and why do we need to understand users. Couple of time we have seen that many product managers, many good product managers, they solve for the issues and problems that come up to them in day-to-day basis, but they forget essentially why they're solving this for the users, right? So we'll try to discover more on that, and then we'll move to defining users, how as a product manager, how you are required, or how you are expected to define the users. There are some few processes, few models. We'll cover a few of that, and then at the last we'll have Q&A. Okay. Also, I have added a bonus slide also, towards the end, just to I know you guys are sophomores, and you guys must be preparing for your, upcoming interviews as well. So I have, created a slide for just to help you out to give a framework how you can ace your interview rounds in, today's scenario. Because I have been into the, interviews round, and I take mock interviews as well. So I can help you in that way as well. Right. So moving ahead, let's start with a question here. I would like you all to, answer this question, or give your thoughts by, if you are allowed, then unmute, or you can just type in the chat box. So I can see it, the chat box filling in, and we'll discuss it further. So you have to think of a product that failed. I believe you're sitting in your room, and if you turn around your heads and see there are multiple products, maybe it can be tangible product, or tech product, software product too, which is very successful in their domain. But can you think of a product which failed, or which was, uh, it was unable to achieve its intended objectives? So market failure, product failure is also defined below. You can go through it, and when a product is not meeting standards or its expectation, which is set by the product team to get the market fit, so it is known as that product is failed now. So let me check the comment section if you guys have wrote something.
You all can just type your questions in the chat box and we'll just take them right away.
Yeah,
So here's an example, HTC and Facebook's phone
yeah, I can see
from
it.
Ashish.
Minakshi says Tata Nano. I'd not say it failed actually, but yeah, in a sense, the marketing and the after product services failed. Baiju, okay, it did quite well. Rabbit R1 is a good, you know, example. Cool. So you guys have, Air Deccan Airlines, Cool Ravi. So actually, we can see in these examples, you all can find one thing in common, right? If you can, go back to their history, or the product ideation process, there was a problem in uh, actually pain point identification. I would say they had the product, they have the budget, and they also had good R&D before the product development process. But again, it was not able to achieve its intended objective, and it was not able to position itself in the minds of the users. Why? Because it was, um, it was in a way, it was not good enough to solve that user's problem, which that product manager or the product designer thought that it is the problem of the user. So let me give you some of the examples here. So as you can see, there are two examples which I've taken that are tangible products, and it is actual product. Uh, so first is Smalt. If anyone have heard of Smalt, please write in the chat box. I had not heard earlier, and it's the world's first interactive centerpiece, and it has artificial intelligence enabled cloud, technology. It has used for Bluetooth speaker, and actually it is a salt dispenser. So you can see what is the height of product innovation and development we are working today. And you can think of a salt dispenser which you have regularly on your dinner table, and it has, AI enabled, cloud backed, voice recognition model and appliances attached to it, and then ultimately it's solving it only your salt, dispensing problem. So you can see and the pricing of the product is also, you can imagine how can you pay this, for this in any, not in only in Asian geography, in Latam, or anywhere in the world. So next is T4. It was introduced back in 2017, I guess, and it made exceptional teas, unlimited assortment. It came with, price tag of 85,000. Again, it was a use of good technology, People thought that it would be a great, innovation in the tea making machine market, but actually it, just fulfilled your need of tea cravings. Next is, when we these are the tangible examples. Let me take some tech products here. So in the social media space, back in 2000, back in 2002 to 2009, these all three products were very relevant in that era. Google Plus, we have Friendster, we have MySpace. So what was common in all these three? They are clear examples of bad problem solving and poor product market fit. So why? Because if we talk about Google Plus, so if you remember back in 2007 or 8, when you download, when you purchase an Android phone, or let's suppose Google phone, Google Plus was already, it came already installed in the product. Also, when a user created, when once you create your Gmail account, it already automatically it creates your account at Google Plus. So it was a social networking site, but it forced the users to, explore Google Plus, and then they kept pushing you notifications, which was very itchy for new users. So it failed badly in the market. Next was Friendster. Same story, no innovation and less of, lack of new, actually user problem solving in the Friendster app too. And MySpace was actually known as, the Facebook of that era. Like it crossed over 13 billion valuation in back in 2012 or 2011, I guess. And it was doing good, but then it just stopped. Facebook introduced, and it's gave, actually Friendster and MySpace gave birth to Facebook. So in the world of social networking site, MySpace was the first ever introduced Facebook in the industry. But it fell to, it failed in innovating in the UX, and it kept degrading its features. So the product managers there clearly failed to identify user pain points and make new, alterations accordingly in the product, which is why these products failed. So we have seen, good examples of the product failure, because these examples are really necessary for us to understand why a product manager, fails at some point in time, and what we should take, take key takeaways from that failures, so that we should not be able to do the same mistakes in our future work. Next, we'll talk about why do products fail. Let's talk on first why. We came directly on why is actually. So yeah, misunderstanding user needs, problem identification. We have, once a product manager is not able to understand user needs or problem the users are facing, then he can never solve effectively for the users. So you have to be in the shoes of your users before, coming, even thinking about the solution. So asking the right questions and understanding your user needs and the pain points is the primary goal of any, user, uh, user based product manager, or a product manager who is in the ideation process, I would say. For that sake, to my experience, I have been into, customer success roles. I have been into product development and, product success roles at Big Basket also. So I used to talk with around 50 customers per day basis, just to understand what are their pain points and what are user criterias they are actually evaluating the app on. So on basis of those conversation, I divide, I have structured frameworks there, that hey, these are particular tabs, or these are particular areas that our users are not very feasible to get into, or there are friction points that we need to discover. What it meant and what it helped us is to create a better version of our product, not only giving users a sense of trust, and their opinion matters. So we they also think that, yeah, someone is listening us from the team, and actually our opinions are uh, our opinions are kept, and it has been improvised in the product. So it helped a lot in during my tenure at Big Basket, and which is why I felt that I should go into product management field, and understanding users and you know keeping myself in their shoe was my forte, and I believe that it has helped me a lot. Next, let's come back to the product failure issues. So next is lack of market fit. um, I believe you guys have heard this term product market fit. What it is the exact value of your product in the eyes of customer, for which you have created a particular product or service from them for them, right? So if you don't have a product, a market for your product, then you are never gonna success with your product financially, even if you have made an outstanding product, right? So we'll discuss on product market fit in next slide also. I have added a slide just to make you clear about the about what are the basics of product PMF. Next is insufficient market research. This happens just because you have not gone through your users case studies, or previous you have not gone through previous product failures, or you are not taking um, what you can say, you are not understanding enough your users by their user behavior, by their purchasing patterns. These are market scenarios, or you can say marketing anecdotes that are present in any market. You need to understand, and you need to go thoroughly on each of these points before getting into getting onto a solution. Next is uncontrolled expansion of product features. Like as I mentioned about Friendster, they once the Facebook launched, right? So they sort of panicked around, and they started launching many features, in their app. Like you can connect with new users, you can call new users, you can even interact with users on voice calls, video calls. They have introduced multiple n numbers of features in their existing product, which led to what you can say, the product, the users were very unsure about the product. The newness to the product is good, but to an extent. When it goes at par to that extent, the user gets confused, and then it will lead to user churn. So uncontrolled feature expansion actually creates the scope creep. So your funnel of the product is then devised into various ways, and then ultimately user is not very satisfied with your product. Next is poor user experience. Yeah, actually, the user experience matters a lot. As a product manager, just keep in mind, we have been taught that you have to keep number of clicks as less than as possible. So if you are, let's suppose you are onboarding a customer, new customer on your product, then you have to design that your product in such a way that number of clicks that user goes through is minimal. That way a user will not face your product fatigue, which is known as the issue with your product, or issue with interacting with your product. So in order to reduce that product fatigue, you have to make your UX more intrusive. Let's come towards the product market fit. As I mentioned, um, a product manager has to understand these three questions before discovering any of the product in the market, or going through the solution part of any issue. That first is there a problem? Like, actually you have to ask question to yourself. Even if your stakeholders, or let's suppose your higher management, ask you to build a product for salt dispensing. So salt dispensing was never a problem, right? But makers of Smalt thought that it is a problem, and we should develop a cloud-based Bluetooth speaker enabled and ambient lighting enabled salt dispenser, so that it can increase company's viability, and it can help in increasing company's revenue. But actually, they have not thought that it was even a problem for the users. So they, this is a this this is a vein. You can see there is a Venn diagram which shows that even if the product is desirable or not. So it says that is there a sufficiently large market for the problem you're trying to solve, or if there are just chunk of users that you have explored through focus groups, or let's suppose you have taken few interviews, surveys, and got that, yeah, hi, this is the problem and we need to solve for it. But you need to really understand it, is it desirable by the greater amount of people or users or not. Next is the product viable? Like, is there a business model that can sustain a profitable company? Like, it uh, will people pay for this solution or not? If you are solving a problem in a way that uh, it has created impact with for the user, done, okay, it is desirable, okay, but you have uh, you know invested so much amount of efforts and your tech counterparts in that it's actually the pricing went up so high that user is actually not able to extend its limit for that purchasing behavior. So you need to understand, will people pay for this problem or not? And last comes, does it need a solution? So when you have discovered that there is a problem, you need to then come towards the solution part, that, hey, does this actually need a solution or not? So I would say I would give you an instance from a great, Dave Washa, actually a great PM. He's a product leader, and I do follow him a lot, and I had a privilege to have a good talk with him once. He said, um, two things you need to do as a PM while you are ideating a product. First, listen to your customers, and listen, by listening, he meant that listen religiously and ask good questions. It's not just you have asked 10 questions and then came and you said that, hey, I was unable to discover what his problem was. That means it's your failure and you have not asked right questions. Next, what he told is, don't listen to your customers. Why? Because when it comes to solution, your customers are actually the least possible, uh, you know, uh, least applicable candidate to give you, advice on the solutions part. So as a product manager, you need to know your limits on at what extent you should listen to your customers and at what extent you should not. So these are the both counterparts while exploring user pain points that a product manager needs to take care in. So in the middle of it, we have a product market fit where a product is desirable, it is viable, and it is feasible for the company also. Right. So Mark Andreessen has said product market fit means being in a good market with a product that can satisfy the market. Right. Let's move towards the whys quickly. I believe it's already 6:37 and we need to wrap it up because there is a match at corner, and I know you guys are really excited about that. Next is know the whys actually. So before exploring on the solution set, and what a product manager needs to do is identify the whys on the question part. So as a product manager, once you get into the interview also, you will be judged on how well you ask your questions. So there are multiple sources available on the internet, and there is a behavioral questions, there are design based questions, there are product sense questions. In every question there is a common criteria to judge a candidate, that how well he is asking questions to the interviewer, right? So the same way, once you are into product management and once you're solving for your customer, even if it is in business to business scenario or B2C scenario, you need to ask few questions towards yourself, or By self, I mean your internal stakeholders too, and again to the users. So what are the questions that you, these are a few simple set of questions which I have listed down here, but actually these are not enough. There are n number of questions that you can ask and that you should ask before building a customer, because a product has it takes a lot to build in. So a product manager's time, uh, product managers and your team members, or the engineering counterparts time, and every uh, wavelength, it takes everything. So it's quite a costly measure to take upon. So it's totally responsibility of product manager whether to decide on building a product or not building a product, right? So there are few questions to self which you can ask right in the before iterating or start developing your product. So there is a primary question that we need to ask: why are we building this product, right? If you are not aware of the product usage, you are not aware of the product criteria, and you are not aware of the product requirement well, then it's of no use to get ahead in the product development process. You need to understand what are the core needs of the users, what are the problems they are facing right now in the from the market, why is your solution significant to them which is not already available in the market, why is competitors not doing this. There might be a number of reasons that you need to evaluate before getting into the solution part, right? uh, then we have to understand that why do we believe this problem is significant, like what what are the insights we have generated from the user interactions, or do we have any data points that is backing up this problem, so that we can think of more effective solution than it is existing in the current market, right? And last is, why are the current solutions insufficient? As I mentioned, we have to always keep competitors in our mind. Like if you have to see or check in what how your product or how your solution area is performing right now in the market, you have to go through your SWOT analysis, and under it comes the very essential part, which is competitor analysis, right? You have to check on your each competitor, even if it is small scale or large scale. You have to uh, get on those get on the roots of your competitors and understand thoroughly that what are they offering right now and why are user not satisfied with them. If the unique value proposition, you can if you are able to sell or find unique value proposition for your product, then your product has a wow moment, which is known as, yeah, it's the one of, you can say, the requirements of the product in order to excel its PMF. So if you have a UVP or USP, what you call, then you are ready to get a PMF, and your customers will definitely are going to spend money on your product, right? There are a few questions to users again, which you can ask, and which is necessary to ask for with the users, basically to understand their focus and how they think towards the problem, which consists of why this problem is basically important to you, how it is impacting their daily life or their daily routine, why, what is that area that or what are the goals that they are not able to succeed or they are not able to achieve because of that product, right? And you have to understand the user's point of view. Why have they not found a satisfactory solution yet, or what are the limitations of the existing solutions? And again, we have learned in the PMF that is it viable or not, like the users are going to pay for that particular product or not. We have to understand all these criteria, and there are many whys actually, which comes, it's again not in the slides, but I believe you just develop this mindset in your work style, that you need to get into whys of everything, before getting into what and how, right? There are three steps for any work, for completing any work by the product managers. It's what, why, and how. But I believe why should come first always. Even if you are solving it for your users, or if you are solving it for your your counterparts or your internal stakeholders, why should come first. There would be like, uh, if I talk about myself, there are multiple times that customers or the businesses come to me and say, hey, we are facing this issue, and we require solution at this particular extent. But actually, we have to, as a product manager, we have to prioritize, and we have to multiple times there are a couple of scenarios where we don't agree to them, and we cannot fulfill their needs. Like, we are product managers and not genies. We cannot say yes to everyone, right? You have to understand there is a term which is known as ruthless prioritization, which is true for every product manager, because you have to understand whys of every problem, and you have to keep that in mind while building your product throughout. Even if you have built your features, you have rolled out your product, but then again you have to keep that why in your mind always, and keep iterating on the basis of that. Because at the end of the day, you have to make a profit making product, and you are working in a profit making company. So you need to understand why would your customer pay for your solution, and how you provide value to the customer, which is not already existing in the market, right? There are multiple whys, but we need to develop this why mindset in our mind. Right now, next is we'll see how product managers define users. And there are a couple of ways to define users in different industries, because I come from B2B SaaS based industry. So I have used few of instances from that part, but it's true in almost every cases. Even if we are talking about tech product management is a relatively new field nowadays, but it's actually true for every case or every scenario which we see as a product manager, right? So there are three steps here for defining the users. First is conducting user research. Basically, you have to explore on what your users are, and you have to then iterate on the basis of that. We This whole talk is basis on the same point. I believe you would have understood by now that I have reiterating on this point, that understand your users, and keep a check on their pain points, just because it's the users who are ultimately going to pay you, and it's the end users for whom you are solving and for whom you are keeping your products in line. So you have to take care of them, because if the user wins, your product wins. If you want your product or your company to win at every point in time, so you have to keep your customers winning, right? So this is the main motto of this should be main motto of every company and every product manager out there in the organizations. So we have to conduct user research for defining users, create user personas. I'll also give you an instance how to create user personas, and give you an example also, because while I have there are a couple of interviews wherein product design question comes in, or let's suppose product case studies comes in, and you have to create user personas there. So I have added a sample user persona here, and how to create it basically, so that once this meeting is over, I would circulate this whole PPT to the team. I guess you can access it from anywhere. So you can take examples from there and practice it, how you can create better user personas in order to understand or define your users, right? It will help not only in your interviews or your uh, your portfolio development, but also it will help you once you are into the product role, and getting your users understanding well about the pain points, right? Next, last is the user journey. So I would not lay more emphasis on all of these actually. I'll just quickly skim it up because time's running, and we'll see through it what it is in it for us, right? So first is user research. As I mentioned, the name suggests user research is getting to know your users very well, even if they are in, let's suppose they are in different geographies. Multiple times you are working in a company which is serving in different, you know geographies or demographies. You cannot understand your users every time by getting to know them personally, asking them questions personally, but you have to, use some tools, or you have to take help from the sometimes the third party survey people, or let's suppose you have to take help from the existing database or the facts and figures which already is pertaining for that particular market, right? So we'll take quickly two examples here where user research has played important role, right? So first is Netflix. So Netflix started, as you know, as a DVD rental company in 1998, right? It shifted to recurring revenue model, which is the subscription model, after catching user purchase behavior, right? So Netflix was doing well in its DVD rental company, but they thought that uh, the users which are there in the US, basically, they are not going for a one-time purchase for the DVDs, because uh, the value that DVD content contains was value of one or two time, viewing experience. So they thought that we have to. They did their user purchase behavior, surveys, and they have understood the user purchase behavior and the user patterns. So they thought that users are ready to take that particular DVD on the subscription based model. Like if the new DVD comes in the market, they'll purchase it, they'll see it, and they'll return it on, uh, on the Netflix outlets. So it gave rise not only to the new user base, also it created a new revenue flow for Netflix as a company, right? They conducted guerrilla surveys to understand the real needs and pain points of the users. And it was when back in 2007 when they launched video on demand streaming services, right? So if I take an instance, I remember they have read in, somewhere in they could read that they started giving $5 to each of the users just for interviewing them for 10 minutes. They asked questions, their preferences about video on demand streaming services, and how would they like to structure the uh, the app or the web based services once they get into. So they just did this guerrilla surveys, and they took around 250 people's responses thoroughly, and then they got down to a conclusion that, yeah, this could be, you know this could be feasible, and these are the set of features that we can include in our product, right? So, and rest is the history, and Netflix is today, the the most viewed video content platform in the world. Next is Uber. Let's talk about ride sharing, or online ride taking capabilities of Uber. It introduced itself in Indian market. Basically, I'll talk about the Indian market, how the user research has changed its structure. You can see here when USA Uber was built, it was built on the community sharing rideshare model, wherein it initially came into their apps interface that you can uh, you know call a cab for a community sharing model. Like you can share it with two or three people, and you can get yourself from one place to another. But in India, they understood that users are not very open to sharing a cab. Like they are ready to share a rickshaw or an auto for that matter. But if they are traveling from a car from one place to another and it's a cab, they would not like to share and they would not prefer to share if it is a short distance. So they built another platform to seek its passengers for community sharing, right? Which is Uber, Uber rentals, or let's say they have developed a new features for that just because of Indian demography. One more example I'd give you about their payment modes. So in US, the once the ride is complete, the ride fare is automatically deducted from the credit cards or the credit information which is already available in the app. But in India, they understood that users are not very viable towards the credit payments, and they are not really good amount of users here for the credit or debit cards. So they introduced about for in the cash payments, because the people or the users in the Asia or Southeast Asia are more, cash flow economy is more prevailing here. So that's why they included their cash on ride completion kind of feature here, which was actually an operationally, a big step for Uber, because they are a technology company and it have to, they have to make it operationally viable for every geography. But they have changed just because they need to keep their user winning. As I mentioned, they wanted their user winning. Ultimately, they will win in their sectors. So, understand that Netflix and Uber, how they have made this user research significantly impact their products when Uber was shifting in India, right? Let's come to the next part, which is creating user persona. I'd not get more deeper into it, but as time is running, we'll see how we create user persona. So basically, user persona is a representation of how your target user looks like and their needs, wants, goals, problems, and other characteristics. Okay, so it helps your team to basically visualize what your users' needs are and what are the pain points. So there are a few steps which is given here, like you need to define a goal first, like what is the purpose of launching a new product or a new feature, how it will benefit the users, how you have focused your research towards the user orientation towards your product. Then you will prepare your plan and gather stakeholder input. You have to collect the data, from through surveys, interviews, or observations, and then you have to create few user personas. As in, if you can see here, the sample user persona about Christine Watson. So it's not true that for every solution or for every user, for every case study, you have a single user persona. You have to develop around 3 to 4 user personas for every use cases or every edge cases. Like if you can see, the bio includes that she currently lives in Sydney and she has been promoted to sales manager. She's single and like to go out with friends on long holidays, right? And the personality also has also the basic demographics of it of this person has mentioned. The core needs has been mentioned, and frustrations. So the core needs and frustrations are the ones which give you good broader picture about what is the issue that you need to solve, and what are the validation points for your product, right? So core needs, if you can see to the core needs, there is need to find people with similar skills that can help her tackle company goals, view all her hirings in an overview, and the price of the services is very important. So these three are the pain points and needs of that particular user, which we have mentioned. And it does not only pertains to Christine Watson, it is actually voice of uh, maximum users which you got from your surveys, interviews, and observations, right? This way you are actually able to define your user and create its user persona. So persona is nothing but a personification of particular user, like just to give you a resume, like a kind of glimpse of what your user thinks and what are the probable solution that you can provide to that user, right? Next we come towards the user journey. So actually any user which gets towards your product or uses your product, goes through particular journey, which we call as user journey. So it's the representation of process basically, which user goes through to achieve a specific goal on your particular product which you have designed or intended to uh, you know um, uh, create steppers or interactions with that particular product, right? So there are this double A triple R metrics is most commonly used metrics, or the funnel, which you can say how you define that your users are using your product, right? So it represents acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue. Like, how do customers find you, and how quickly can you get your customers to your aha moment? Like, activation is something that uh, let's understand it with an example. You'll will spend less time there and understand more on the from the example side. If you have any questions, just put it in chat box so that we can pause and take any questions here, but I'll try to finish it as soon as possible. So we'll take more of examples here right now. So if you talk about Uber, how you install the app, so you see an ad or you hear, even if it is from mouth to mouth marketing, or you heard something about Uber on social media app. So you visit the Play Store app, right? Your you see about app, you go through the app listing, you go through the app, what you can say, ratings, yeah, right? And you can see how is the app performing, and then you click on install. So this is known as visiting. And as you can say in the above metrics, this is acquisition actually, like how you are acquiring your product, or your users. So once you are downloading your Uber, like the app on your phone, it needs a sign up by default by using your phone number, or let's suppose you are using a social networking account linked to it. So it's an acquisition of your user, right? How you are activated in it is you enter your details, your address, right? You check out for the interface, and you just start liking the interface and start liking the service, right? So it's activated. So actually activation, the definition of activation can be different for different organization or different products here. So if we talk about user, so entering your address details or entering your persona details is activated for the user, the metrics which we use here. Next is the converted metrics. When we can say that a user is converted, when you complete your ride, right? When you take your first ride, it gets completed and you pay out to the driver which gave you the ride, then Uber can say, hey, the user has been converted, right? And if we talk about the last one, like the retention, referral, and revenue, all the three R's lies in when you take a service more than one time. Okay, like you have completed a first ride, you you started liking about the product, and you took another ride another day, or let's suppose the same day, right? So this would be said that you have been retained. The Uber is able to complete their retention on you, right? So you have uh, completed the retention process, and then once you are happy with the product, you can refer it to your the acquaintances, or let's suppose your friends, family members. Then it say that they have entered in your referral funnel, and from referral funnel it starts providing revenue to the company. Because currently in Indian market, if I if I mention about the SaaS metrics, so in the SaaS based products, currently the CAC of every customer acquisition cost of every product which we are seeing in the market, is the average is around somewhere around 150 rupees. So it's nearly impossible to generate revenue from a customer which you acquired from different modes from the first purchase. So you need to think on your retention model more in order to break even and generate revenue from the customers. right? So same way we have an example of Facebook, how the visitor comes, it gets acquired and then it's activated and converted, right? Let's just figure out user journey here, like how you will define when it comes to you when asked in an interview, or let's suppose you're defining a product, right? And you have to define user journey for a particular person who uses Netflix. So this is the model which I have shared with you, like starts from awareness. Rahul, the particular person learns about Netflix through social media. Consideration, like he visits the website, read reviews, compares with competitors, or you can say uh, he particularly watches different YouTube videos or the content available on the Netflix. Next is the purchase. Next comes the purchase is the sign up for free trial. It can be sign up for free trial, or exploring features, or taking subscription for consuming contents. Again, it come towards the onboarding now. Once you have made, downloaded the product on your mobile, or let's suppose it's a web-based application, then on your laptop, then you have particular guidance on setting up that product, right? So it gives rise to the onboarding step of user journey. And then it comes to usage and retention, ultimately, that how you are using your product. And then the retention is basically renewal of the subscription, of in case of Netflix here, if we talk about. So the core outcomes here is comprehensive view of how user interact with the product. Like core outcome of user journey is to understand how your user cumulatively react with your product from end to end. Like from start to stop, you have to define everything for the users, right? So it's really important when you are developing wireframes also. It can be asked in your interviews. So better to get yourself in that mindset, how you are uh, creating user journeys and how you are understanding users in that manner, right? So as a PM, we need to always minimize the leakage in that particular, the double A, triple R funnel we talked about, is how your customer visit, how it installs, how it leads, and how it converts, and ultimately how you are retaining your customers. So in every of these funnels, you need to minimize the leakage, right? So there are common, solutions, product solutions that are made to minimize the leakage, basically. So guest checkout is the one of such features, which as I have given example of Fav, as in they provide the facility to guest checkout, like login as guest, and you can explore the features around the product without actually signing in the product. So this gives you, and this gives users a trust over the product. Also it gives a sense of developing by themselves, like they would definitely encouraged to develop the product and see what is in it for them, right? There are if we talk about Spotify, you can see when you are onboarding towards the Spotify, when you have installed it first time, it asks multiple questions to you, like what kind of music do you like, what artist do you like, what genre of music do you like. So it actually reduces cognitive overload for the users, right? Like how it will suggest those particular the mixes. There are song recommendations based on your preferences. So it actually gives sense of customization to the users, which is really very good point to retain the users. Next is the freemium model, which we know basically it's a kind of extension to guest checkout, like to understand, let them use the product, let them get used. Like if we talk about at greater level, Geo has used a great use of freemium model, which we can see they have introduced 4G to the India, initially for free for 1 year for everyone, and once it was in the veins, I would say, for the users, they started charging for it. And now I guess there are very less user churn rate in terms of what when they were not charging for their network usage and now when they're charging. So if we compare both, they are they are standing on very less churn rate of their users. So this is a good example of freemium model, that your users should get used to your product, and then you start charging for several services, right? So this is we are going towards the end of our the PPT, and as I mentioned, understanding users, acquiring users is really important, but retention is what makes or break the business, right? So as you know, customer retention refers to the customers or the process where you deliberately keeps your customer having that particular purchase behavior, or taking using your products or services more than once, or keep that relevant in terms of user pain points or user usage criteria for that sake, right? So if we see, any business has not been big with by acquiring new customers, right? If we talk about, let's suppose, McD, right, McDonald's, if there would have not been repeat customers, then we can just imagine what MacD would have been right now, right? So a single loyal customer making several purchases over a year is ultimately more influential than several shoppers that buy once and never again, right? So it's rightly said that uh, you can rely on the business of retained customer far more than a new one, right? So actually it's also making sense for the companies, because it's really very hard and really very expensive to acquire a new user than to retain an uh, already who are your existing customers. So if you want to retain your existing customer, it's way too cheaper than acquire a new one. So we need to always take care of the retention model in our businesses in order to excel with our goals. So we have a bonus slide here, but before moving further, I just want to take you know want to understand if there are any questions or uh, any issues with the current slides.
If you're having any question, do drop down in the chat.
Yeah, so I can see about the framework. So I'll share this particular PPT, and I'll try to, put the links for good reads that you guys can have for your interview preparations and frameworks. So that would be helpful for you.
Okay, there's a question from Aditya Kumar. How do you know your research is enough for the product?
Yeah, good question. So if you're, there are particular criterias on which you define your product requirements, right? So whenever there is what you can say is a requirement came to the product manager as a PM, you know about your company standards, you know about company values, mission, and vision, and keeping that in mind, you have to describe, as I mentioned, you have to describe the criterias on what values or on what features you will create a particular product which will be feasible or uh, feasible or required for the end user, right? So if we talk about um, if you talk about the user pain point, so let's suppose let's take an example of Uber, let's say. So Uber knew that there is a requirement of an app which is ride sharing app, or let's suppose online ride uh, app or a platform, but they didn't knew what's the scope of it, right? So it's the bigger picture that you have to keep in mind while exploring the underlying characteristics about users while interviewing them. So it's the limit of your user research. When you get towards your user, it should be kept in your mind beforehand, right? So it's always good to ask right questions, but it should come from a value perspective of a PM, that actually is it solving the correct values or correct problems for the users or not, right?
Okay, this is a question
So
from Prince. I have always struggled in designing user survey. How do I know which question to ask? I think it was covered in the last answer as well.
yeah, you need to reiterate on, um, first of all, what are the needs for you. Like I mentioned on the slide earlier, that there are a few couple of questions that you need to ask yourself also before going to customers, before going to users. That is there really a problem, or is this problem really needs to get solved? And if you're designing a user survey, then what are the probable questions you should ask them? It should be, first of all, open-ended questions. And what are the probable questions that you should ask that ultimately leads you to the solution part of your product, or what are you intending to solve, right?
There was a
So
question from Stylen. She wants advice on how to become a, like, she's a beginner aspiring product manager. So how can she start her journey?
cool. Let's take this takes us to the next slide. I'll clear this here. Just why I just knew that the people or the folks would be here, struggling in their college days just to get into PM interview. I was there once too. So I would like to help you with what are the current market scenario requirements for a new PM, or aspiring PMs to get into product management, right? So I have 6 tips here, but I'll give you a harsh reality also. I you know I have uh, daily, I have words with different HR leaders in the industry, and believe me, it's bitter truth that 80% of PM applications are getting rejected, not because they are not well qualified, just because they are not doing it in the right way, and they lack some skill sets in their resume, right? So there are 6 tips which I which I want to give you if you are an aspiring PM and looking to break into product journey. So select companies you want to interview with, right? So you need to shortlist the companies first that you think that it's a product based company, and there is a multiple, a good amount of scope of innovation in that company in coming future. Because you know we know how AI has evolved, and how machine learning and intelligence has changed the industry persona. So there are plethora of uh, opportunities which are waiting for you in the different companies. But again, you have to understand that going to every company, applying to every job will not fulfill your need. So be specific, be really, prioritize ruthlessly, and get your company shortlisted. Like these 30 or 40 odd companies are there which I need to crack, and which I need to target, so that you have a mindset beforehand that, hey, I know about this company and I know about the products. This will help me in acing the interview, right? Next is get your portfolio and resume ready. So I would say, as a aspiring product manager, your resume is the first product of your life, right? Your resume and your portfolio would be the first products of your life that you are making. So it should be at par to the interviewer, or to the product leaders in that particular company who are judging your resume or portfolio. If you are getting your resume in that particular in that way, you are creating that particular resume which is the current trend in the market, then you are ready to face the interview, because it's the first step which will get you to the interview table, right? Make it ATS compliant. Give good amount of time, spend around 2 to 3 days for creating a good resume. Create multiple copies, actually multiple, what you can say, drafts of resume for every job profile, because there are multiple. kind of product manager jobs available in the market. Let's suppose there are growth PM. I'm a kind of growth PM. There are data PM. There are design PM. There are PMs who are more inclined towards the marketing side. There are PMMs like product marketing managers. So you have to cater your resume on the basis of job description that product manager uh, or the company enlist in the job portal, right? So you just don't uh, blindly apply to all of the jobs which are available out there with a single resume. It does not create a good impact. Also, it will not let you shortlist in that particular job, right? So get your resume and portfolio ready. What I mean by portfolio is your tear downs or your works, what you have done actually in the product side. Just take any example. You can search for the product portfolios online. I'll try to share it if it's possible with the team. I'll try to share the Notion documents as well for the product, or how it looks and how you can create it as well. You can take product cases. There are multiple sites or multiple product communities available online where product tear down cases comes every week. You can take design questions, you can solve it, and then you can showcase it in your product portfolio that, hey, I have solved this particular case study in this manner. I have designed that particular wireframe. Even if it is bad or good, doesn't matter, since you are a entry level PM. So it will not matter what you have done. Actually, it will matter how you have done, right? So they will look on your approach rather than your skill sets. So get your resume and portfolio ready. I would also add a point here that get your mindset ready, right? You need to have a product mindset before getting into preparation also for the product interviews, because once you are into the product mindset, then everything comes to you as a product case study, and you think from a perspective of a product manager, which will lead you a better which will give you an upper edge in the product interviews also. When you are into product, when you are a product manager, you will ace better than the rest of the product managers, because the real fight starts once you are into the product management job, right? Next is develop network. It's universal truth. It's true for every individual in every field who are trying to crack new gig or job in their domain. So develop networks with peer PMs, connect with stellar PMs all over LinkedIn, or if you are and good in connecting with people around in there are few product talks that happens day in and day out in different cities, like you can join it virtually and increase your connections there by joining various product communities. So do that, and create a plan and stick to it. Like as I mentioned, you have to select your companies, start preparing your interviews, and get your resume and portfolio ready. So you have to make a particular plan and stick to it. Don't change in between that. Hey, Walmart is hiring uh, abundantly in India, and let's suppose in 2025 there are abundant hirings that came in Walmart. So you change your whole plan to just get into Walmart, and ultimately you are not giving enough time for your already what you were preparing. So I would say create a plan and stick to it, and believe in yourself. It can be I'm a non-tech guy, for your information, guys. And I have, as you know, I came from business operations, customer retention, marketing background, and then turned myself post my MBA from NSIT, and I turned myself into business analytics and product management role. So it was really difficult, yet challenging for me, and it happened just because I created a plan, I thought for it, and I stick to it, right? You need to prepare, practice, and repeat. You are not a, you should not be going in an interview without preparing yourself at least 5 times before 5 times for a case study question, or let's suppose product design questions, because there are there can be infinite number of areas where interviewer can put you in while asking questions, and that you will excel in those. You will excel in your product approaches just when uh, you have practiced well while you are preparing it, right? So go through product mock interviews videos. There are multiple mock interviews that are already available in the product communities, so try to give as many mocks as possible. Schedule your interviews, right? So take good amount of gaps between your two interviews, because getting into a particular company's interview requires you to develop a particular mindset for that company, because companies do check how you are aware, how well you are aware with that particular company's background, the company's product offerings, and what are the scope of that particular product. So you need to understand about the company very well before getting into the interview. So keep those interview gaps between your two companies, if you are getting into interviewed in two companies, so that you can get enough ample time amount of time in order to prepare yourselves well, right? So these are actually few tips which I wanted to give you guys, and give you a heads up about what is the current market scenario, just to help you to ace your next interviews, right? So yeah, that's all from my side, and thanks for joining in. If you have any queries, or if you have any issues, you can put up it in the chat box anyhow, or you can reach me out through the LinkedIn. I'm available as well on my email ID as well. You can reach out from the team as well. So it's really great. If there are any doubts or issues or questions, queries, just put let's take it, right? So I can see the chat box here with the previous questions itself. No new questions yet.
I think we should end the session now. I think these questions are already answered well. Okay, so thank you so much, sir. Okay, yeah. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable insights and experiences with us. We truly appreciate the knowledge you have imparted. And a big thanks to audience for being so engaged and active. Just a quick reminder, week 3 content for Product Matters 4.2 will go live this coming Monday. Be sure to check it out. Thanks, everyone. And if you're having any doubts, you can contact sir. His email is mentioned here. And you can also just join the discussion groups, and you can email you can just text the doubts you're having.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'll be more than happy to help the peer members, and it's always a learning experience from you guys. Yeah, thanks for having me here, and it was really a good session. Thanks.